sometimes dies with them.
In my 27, pushing to 28 years at this police department, we never had anything like this happen before.
We move now to the death of a High Point family over the weekend. Police say a man shot his wife and 3 children, then turned the gun on himself.
There's someone knocking in front of my house saying someone tried to kill them.
I'm an actor as well. I also do voiceovers and stand-up comedy. I look forward to working in all aspects of entertainment. I love the everyday grind of continuing to grow in the entertainment business.
At exactly 7 a.m., 2 people ran from a house on Mossy Meadow Drive, desperately knocking on neighbors' doors. They had just escaped what police would later describe as a scene unlike anything in the department's history. Inside that home, 5 people lay dead, a wife, 3 children, and the man who took their lives before taking his own. This wasn't a random act of violence. This was a family, a mother who served her country, built businesses, and coached others through life's challenges. Children with their whole futures ahead of them, and a father whose struggles have been documented by police for nearly a decade. What you're about to see raises a question that haunts this case. How does a family tragedy of this magnitude unfold behind closed doors? And what signs were missed along the way? Before we go further, I want to hear from you. Have you ever noticed something troubling in your community but weren't sure how to help? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective matters, and this conversation could help someone watching. Let's examine what happened on that morning in High Point.
Grace, thank you. We move now to the death of a High Point family over the weekend. Police say a man shot his wife and 3 children, then turned the gun on himself. Tonight, we're learning more about the moments after they died. WFMY News 2's ITD's McMiller got a hold of the 911 calls.
Yeah, this loss is heavy, surreal, and deeply saddening. Many are hurting and mourning right now. Everyone from police to those who went to school with the victims are shocked that something like this happened.
Somebody was shot in the house at 2734.
A High Point family's place of comfort turned into a crime scene Saturday morning.
There's someone knocking in front of my house saying someone tried to kill them.
Chilling 911 calls rang in from neighbors who tried to help the 2 adults that were able to escape the home.
The man is saying that it was his father. He said he's sure that he still has the gun.
Officers arrived shortly after, shocked to find a family murdered inside their home on Mossy Meadow Drive.
In my 27, pushing to 28 years at this police department, we never had anything like this happen before.
Police say Robert Crayton shot his wife and their 10, 16, and 18-year-old children before turning the gun on himself. All 3 kids were Guilford County School students. They attended Ragsdale High and Union Hill Elementary School. The school district released this statement saying, "We are heartbroken and our thoughts are with the family." District crisis teams will be at both schools throughout the week. While the community tries to heal and wrap its head around what could lead a person to kill their family, High Point Police is continuing to investigate.
We are following breaking news this Monday. High Point Police just identified 3 of the 5 people killed in Saturday's murder. Investigators believe 45-year-old Robert Crayton Jr. shot and killed his wife, Athalia Crayton. We're told Robert died from a gunshot wound. 18-year-old Kason Crayton was also killed. 2 juveniles ages 10 and 16 also died. A press conference will be held at the High Point Police Department this afternoon at 1 o'clock.
I play Derwin, and he's a guy that fell into the mix with them pretty much. A little kooky character, but Derwin's a good guy.
This is the U.S. Open of dirt track racing.
I don't care what you're saying. We're not going to enter a race for the money.
Can we just hear what he's got to say?
What I'm saying is the top 10 earners, they in the big race automatically. The rest of them got to qualify the race. And your boy, he can drive.
Not to reiterate the timeline, I think most of that has been pretty well established. I do want to say that the investigation is moving forward very well and expeditiously. We have been in contact with the affected family and they are cooperating with us fully. And as the chief said, there is some information that we are going to hold back. That's just to protect the integrity of the investigation. But at this time, I am at a point where we can announce that the offender and one of the deceased, Robert Jeffrey Crayton, is being looked at as the primary person who committed this act. We will also release, and I think it's been put out in the updated press release, his wife, Athalia Crayton, age 46, and one of the children, Cassine Crayton, age 18.
The press release said that 2 other people inside the home escaped. Were they related to the victims?
That is correct. We aren't going to release their names at this time. 2 surviving victims did escape the residence. One of them is a direct relation, and the other was an acquaintance. Yes, ma'am.
Can you release as to how they were murdered? Was this gunshot, stabbing, strangulation?
Yes, I can release that the deceased did die of gunfire. Yes, sir.
So the 2 kids ran out of the house around 7 a.m., but do you know what time the incident actually occurred? Did they find them when they woke up? That happened a long time before that, or did it happen?
It happened concurrently around the same time when they exited the house. Part of the investigation that we're going to be looking into is the timeline of occurrences that happened inside the house. But the time that they exited the house and sought help from neighbors, it was all occurring around that same time.
Do you possibly know what led up to this, why it transpired?
No, and that's going to be a piece of the investigation, and I've expressed this to the family as we may never know why. What goes through the hearts and minds of a person that would do this sometimes dies with them, but we don't have any indication right now as to the why, but that's part of what we're looking at.
Did Robert have any known mental health issues?
We have information from the family that he was suffering with some mental illness. We responded to the house in January of last year where he was served an involuntary commitment. We are still looking into past involvements. I can't speak to as the reasoning under the involuntary commitment, but we do believe that it was taken up by the family.
At exactly 7 a.m., 2 people ran from a house on Mossy Meadow Drive, desperately knocking on neighbors' doors. They had just escaped what police would later describe as a scene unlike anything in what you just witnessed is the devastating reality of January 7th, 2023, when Robert J. Crayton Jr., a 45-year-old Brooklyn native and actor, shot and killed his wife, 46-year-old Athalia A. Crayton, along with their 3 children, 18-year-old Kazan, their 16-year-old, and their 10-year-old. He then turned the weapon on himself. Athalia wasn't just a mother. She was a U.S. Army veteran who served as a heavy equipment mechanic. After her service, she became a business owner, an interior designer, and a life coach, someone who dedicated herself to helping others find direction and purpose. Her children were building their own paths, each with dreams that will never be realized. The 2 survivors, a 22-year-old and a 25-year-old, one a relative and one an acquaintance, were the ones who made it out and alerted authorities. Their escape that morning brought police to a scene that will be burned into the memory of every officer who responded. Robert Crayton Jr. had appeared in television shows like The Game, but behind that public persona was a troubled history. High Point police have been called to the home multiple times since 2014. In January 2022, exactly 1 year before the tragedy, he had been involuntarily committed for evaluation. The warning signs were there, documented in police reports, yet the family remained in danger. Investigators traced a firearm and interviewed everyone they could, searching for answers. But as authorities stated, the why behind this may never be fully understood. What they did confirm was that Robert had been struggling, and according to family members, his actions were connected to his ongoing battles. Here's what makes cases like this so heartbreaking. They don't happen in a vacuum. There were years of documented incidents. There were people who knew something was wrong. But the barriers to intervention, whether legal, social, or personal, meant that Athalia and her children remained in harm's way. This brings us to the difficult truth we need to face. Domestic situations often hide in plain sight. Families suffering behind closed doors can look completely normal from the outside. Neighbors might hear arguments, but convince themselves it's not their place to intervene. Friends might notice changes in behavior, but hesitate to ask direct questions. The reality is that intervention is complicated. Even when someone is committed for evaluation, as Robert was in 2022, it doesn't guarantee long-term treatment or remove access to weapons. The systems designed to protect families have gaps that can prove fatal. So, what can we take from this tragedy? First, trust your instincts. If someone you know seems to be in danger, or if you witness behavior that concerns you, reach out to them, to authorities, to crisis resources. A single call to a domestic violence hotline or a welfare check request to police could save lives. Second, we need to normalize conversations about seeking help. Robert's struggles were known, but whether he received consistent support or felt able to ask for it remains unclear. Creating spaces where people feel safe admitting they're not okay is critical. Third, check on the people around you. Athalia was strong, a veteran, an entrepreneur, a coach. But strength doesn't mean invulnerability. The strongest people often carry the heaviest burdens in silence. Now I want to ask you something. What state or country are you watching from? And have resources in your area made it easier or harder for people to get help in situations like this? Share your experience in the comments. Your insight can help someone else understand what's available where they live. This case left High Point shaken. 5 lives ended. 2 survivors carry the weight of what they witnessed. A community searches for meaning in senseless loss. Athalia Crayton served her country and her community. Kazan had just turned 18, standing at the threshold of adulthood. The 16-year-old and 10-year-old never got the chance to discover who they would become. They deserve better. They deserve safety in their own home. If the story moved you, if it made you think differently about the families around you, then honor their memory by staying aware, staying compassionate, and staying willing to act when something feels wrong. Hit that subscribe button to stay updated on cases that matter. Like this video, if you believe these stories need to be told. And share your thoughts below. What do you think could have made a difference here? Their story doesn't end with tragedy. It continues in the conversations we have, the actions we take, and the lives we might save by refusing to look away to Artman's history. Inside that home, 5 people lay dead. A wife, 3 children, and a man who took their lives before taking his own. This wasn't a random act of violence. This was a family. A mother who served her country, built businesses, and coached others through life's challenges. Children with their whole futures ahead of them. And a father whose struggles have been documented by police for nearly a decade. What you're about to see raises a question that haunts this case. How does a family tragedy of this magnitude unfold behind closed doors? And what signs were missed along the way? Before we go further, I want to hear from you. Have you ever noticed something troubling in your community but weren't sure how to help? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective matters, and this conversation can help someone watching. Let's examine what happened on that morning in High Point.